Everyone, once again welcome to our physics class. Hope you all are fine over there. Children, in the previous session we have completed our chapter 5, that is magnetism and matter. Today we are starting with a new chapter, electromagnetic induction. Do you know the man behind this electromagnetic induction? Yes, it is our Michael Faraday. Ersted had already explained that electricity leads to magnetism. But Faraday began to think of its reverse process. Is magnetic field able to produce some electricity? And he proved this concept through a series of experiments. A changing magnetic field is capable to produce an electric current. Faraday proved this concept through a series of 3 experiments. So in today's session, let's discuss about all those experiments and the laws put forward by Faraday based on these experiments. So let's get started with today's session. Children, as discussed in our introductory video, let's discuss about electromagnetic induction. But before moving on to the topic, let's discuss about some of the important terms related to electromagnetic induction. First is that of magnetic flux. What do you mean by magnetic flux? You had already studied about electric flux. What was electric flux? Yes, electric flux is defined as the total number of electric field lines passing normally through unit area. Just like that, magnetic flux is defined as the total magnetic field lines passing normally through unit area. And magnetic flux is a scalar quantity. Like electric flux, magnetic flux is also a scalar quantity and its unit is Weber. WB is the symbol for Weber. Other unit is there, that is Maxwell. MX is the symbol for Maxwell. So the 2 units for magnetic flux is Weber and Maxwell. And another concept is that of area vector. This area vector will be always perpendicular to the surface. We have already studied about area vector in our first chapter while explaining the Gauss's law. So, if you consider a conductor like this, what will be the direction of area vector? Direction of area vector will be perpendicular to its plane. Okay, this will be the direction of area vector. Let ds be the symbol for area vector. Now, if you consider a conductor like this, what is the direction of area vector? Area vector will be perpendicular to this surface and this will be the direction of area vector. Okay, so area vector will be always perpendicular to the surface. Now, let me just ask you a very simple question. Consider this is the magnetic field P. Okay, and this is our conductor. The conductor is lying on the magnetic field like this. What will be the direction of area vector? Area vector will be perpendicular to this conductor. So this will be the direction of area vector. Okay. Now, this magnetic flux is denoted by a symbol phi. Phi. Okay. And phi E was the symbol for electric flux. Magnetic flux is denoted by phi suffix B. So phi suffix B is the symbol for magnetic flux. The equation to find out magnetic flux phi B is B dot ds. B dot ds. And what is B dot ds? B dot ds is B ds cos theta, where theta is the angle between magnetic field B and area vector ds. So in this figure, what is the direction between, or what is the angle between magnetic field B and area vector ds? 90 degrees. So theta is 90 degree here. If theta is 90, cos 90 is 0, then flux phi B will be 0 in this case. Okay, flux is minimum. Now consider this case. Here, this is the same magnetic field. Now our conductor is lying in the magnetic field like this. What is the direction of area vector? This is the direction of area vector ds. Magnetic field B is also acting along the same direction. So what is the angle between magnetic field B and area vector ds? Yes, angle theta is 0 here. So what will be the flux here? Flux phi B is equal to B dot ds. B ds cos theta, B ds cos 0, and cos 0 is 1. Here theta is 0, so cos theta will be cos 0. Cos 0 is 1 here, so the flux will be B ds. So this is the maximum value. Okay, like this we can find out the value of magnetic flux. And anyway, two units are there, Weber and Maxwell, and also 1 Weber is equal to 10 raised to 8 Maxwell. This is the relationship between Weber and Maxwell. 1 Weber is equal to 10 raised to 8 Maxwell, and magnetic flux is a scalar quantity. Its unit is Weber, other unit is Maxwell. Area vector is always perpendicular to the surface. So that's all about magnetic flux and area vector. Next, let's discuss about Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Faraday was a brilliant scientist who proved that a change in magnetic field is capable of producing an electricity in a conductor. He proved this concept with the help of 3 experiments. So let's discuss about the experiments performed by Faraday in order to prove the concept of electromagnetic induction. Let's discuss it quickly because you had already studied about all these experiments in your class 10 physics. Do you remember the first experiment performed by Faraday? For that, he took a circular coil and he connected that coil to a galvanometer. You know the purpose of galvanometer. Galvanometer detects the presence of current in a circuit. Then he took a magnet with north and south pole. This magnet has magnetic field lines associated with it. Now he moved this magnet towards the coil. Suddenly he found a deflection in the galvanometer. That means a current is flowing in the coil when the magnet is moved towards it. That's why the galvanometer deflected. So what could be the reason for that? Then he identified that whenever the magnet is moved towards the coil, the magnetic lines of force associated with the coil increases because more and more field lines are coming in contact with the coil. So there is a change in the magnetic field lines associated with the coil. Due to the change in magnetic field, an EMF is induced in this coil, and whenever an EMF is induced in a conductor, charges starts to flow. So the current is flowing through this coil, and what is the reason for that current flow? Change in magnetic field associated with the coil. Now we had studied about magnetic flux, so we can say there is a change in magnetic flux associated with the coil. Similarly, when the magnet is moved backwards, then also the galvanometer deflected but in the opposite direction, which also indicated a change in magnetic flux. Now the magnetic flux decreases and the magnet is moved backwards away from the coil. Okay, so there is a change in magnetic flux due to which an EMF is induced and say current is induced in the coil but in the opposite direction. But at the same time, when the magnet is kept at rest, no EMF is induced in the coil because there is no change in the magnetic flux associated with the coil, hence no current is flowing through the coil. Okay, so this was the first experiment performed by Faraday, and based on this he concluded that relative motion between magnet and the coil induced current in this coil. The current flowing through the coil is known as induced current. Now, what was the second experiment performed by Faraday? For that, again, he took the same circular coil and he took another coil, but he connected this coil to a battery and a key. Okay. Now, when the battery is or when the key is switched on, current starts to flow through this coil. So now this coil acts like a magnet because as our Ersted says, a current carrying conductor is a magnet. So this coil has magnetic lines of force associated with it. And when this coil is moved towards this first coil, there is a change in the magnetic flux associated with the first coil, due to which an EMF is induced in it and a current is induced in it. Similarly, when this coil is moved backwards, there is a change in the magnetic flux associated with the first coil. Again, the magnetic flux decreases, due to which an EMF is induced and hence a current is induced in the coil. So here the Faraday concluded that the relative motion between the coils induces current in the coil. Now, this was the second experiment. Then what was the third experiment done by Faraday? See, in the third experiment, Faraday took the same two circular coils, but now he kept the circular coils closed, very close to each other. He just switched on the circuit of the second coil. When the circuit was switched on, he found a momentary deflection in the first coil. So here the coil is not moved towards, the second coil is not moved towards the first coil. It is kept stationary, but it is very close to the first coil. Okay, so when the second coil was switched on, a momentary deflection was observed in the first coil. So he was surprised to see this impact. What could be the reason for this momentary deflection? And Faraday discovered that when the circuit in secondary coil was switched on, there is a momentary change in the magnetic flux associated with the coil 2. Because initially when no current flows through the coil, no magnetic flux was associated with this, hence no magnetic flux will be associated with the coil 1. When the circuit is switched on, this current starts to flow through the secondary coil. Now it is a magnet, and magnetic lines of force become associated with this coil, and these magnetic lines of force will be associated with the first coil too, because they are very close to each other. So there is a momentary change in the magnetic flux associated with the first coil. And due to that momentary change in magnetic flux, a momentary deflection was observed. Similarly, when the circuit was switched off, what happens? No current flows through the secondary coil. So no magnetic lines of force will be associated with the secondary coil, and no magnetic lines of force will be associated with the first coil too. So again, there is a momentary change in the magnetic flux. It decreases from maximum to 0 here, due to which an EMF is induced, and hence a current is induced in the first coil. So from all these observations, Faraday concluded that a change in magnetic field is very, very important in order to induce current in a circuit. This phenomenon of producing induced EMF due to the change of magnetic flux linked with a closed circuit is known as electromagnetic induction. And all these observations were formulated in the form of laws. So these are the laws of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. What is the first law? An EMF is induced in a circuit whenever the amount of magnetic flux linked with a circuit changes. And what is the second law? Magnitude of this induced EMF in a circuit is equal to time rate of change of magnetic flux through the circuit. Now, what is the mathematical expression for this Faraday's law? See, an EMF is induced in the circuit whenever amount of magnetic flux linked with a circuit changes. And magnitude of induced EMF in a circuit is equal to time rate of change of magnetic flux through the circuit. So, magnitude of induced EMF, let the induced EMF is denoted by the symbol E. So, magnitude of induced EMF is equal to time rate of change of magnetic flux. So, what is the rate of change of magnetic flux? Let d phi represents change of magnetic flux, and let d phi by dt represents time rate of change of magnetic flux. So this is the mathematical expression for Faraday's laws. Induced EMF E is equal to d phi by dt. So d phi by dt is the time rate of change of magnetic flux. And if we consider the number of turns of the coil, here we can consider the number of turns n. So our expression becomes induced EMF E is equal to n into d phi by dt. This is the mathematical expression for Faraday's laws.